Introducing the Tropico Islands, the DLC for Pokemon Future, Pokemon Past, and the Equas region. Based on South America, but the DLC includes a lot of new regional Pokemon. This region is created by JoshuaDunlop, and their Instagram is linked in the description for you to go and check them out. Now let's get into the full DLC Pokedex. Pokemonart, Water and Poison type. When scientists brought ancient Pokemon back to life from fossils, the rock within the samples fused with the DNA, making them part rock type and created Pokemon that looked very different to their ancestors. These Pokemon live in the prehistoric enclave where they have survived, unchanged for millions of years. Based on the Nautilus and Cephalopod venom. Pokemonnews, Water and Poison type. The large star on their shell gives them the name, which was an attribute that was lost through the fossil regeneration process but still shows up in rare fossils. These Omastar have a powerful venom that resides in the spikes on their shell, so watch yourself and don't get too close. A reminder that in this region there are both shiny Pokemon and ultra shiny Pokemon, which are caught at a rate of 1 in 10,000 and cannot be boosted. If you haven't seen the full dex video for the Equus region, the link is in the description. Kabuto, Water and Steel type. When scientists brought ancient Pokemon back to life from fossils, the rock within the samples fused with their DNA, making them part rock type, and created Pokemon that looked very different to their ancestors. These Pokemon live in the prehistoric enclave and have survived unchanged for millions of years, based on medieval shields and sharpening blades and whetstones. Kabuto, Water and Steel type. Their carapace is coated in metallic fibers that make it stronger than steel. It's almost impenetrable on the top and is only weak underneath. They sharpen their long blades on rocks, dipping them in water the same way skilled blacksmiths created swords using a whetstone. Another reminder that there are 2 new Pokemon types within the region, the Sound type and the Celestial type, and here is how they fit onto the type table. Be on the lookout for new Pokemon with these typings. Squeedactyl, Sound and Dragon type. Squeedactyl are little babies, but that doesn't mean they are defenseless. Their screeches are so loud they can be heard from up to 3 miles away. They spend nearly all their time in their nest waiting for their parents to come back and feed them. When they become hungry, they begin to scream. Based on baby pterodactyls and mega aerodactyl. Aerodactyl, Flying and Dragon type. When scientists brought ancient Pokemon back to life from fossils, the rock within the sample fused with their DNA, making them part rock type and created Pokemon that looked very different to their ancestors. These Pokemon live in the prehistoric enclave and have survived unchanged for millions of years. Dracodactyl, Flying and Dragon type. Aerodactyl could originally evolve into Dracodactyl, a powerful and fearsome Pokemon that now rules the skies of the prehistoric enclave. Traits of this lost evolution can be seen in Mega Aerodactyl's appearance. They have a vicious temper and will attack anything it deems a threat, including others of its own kind. Their wings are razor sharp and can even cut through stone. Equananorith, Water and Bug type. When scientists brought this Pokemon back to life from fossils, you get the idea. Based on the Mantis Shrimp and fossil Pokemon. Equanamaldo, Fighting and Bug type. Armaldo have an incredibly powerful claw punch by snapping them forward with tremendous speed. So much so that it's said to make small explosions in the air or boil water when submerged. It has razor sharp fins on its tail that serve as truly dangerous weapons. They've even been seen to cut through stone. Equanleap, Grass and Water type. Based on the Sabalidae and fossil Pokemon. Equancradilli, Grass and Water type. It has short legs and can't walk very fast, but its neck and tentacles can extend to over 3 times their usual length to nab distant prey. Once Cradilli catches prey in its tentacles, it digests them whole and absorbs their nutrients. Equanebasculin, Steel and Water type. Equanebasculin live within the confines of the prehistoric enclave. Untouched for millions of years, these Pokemon have powerful metal-coated jaws, making them extremely dangerous. Basculin are ancient relatives of Kavana and can both evolve into Agravana using a primal stone, an evolution stone that can trigger ancient primordial evolutions, based on the Mega Piranha and Primal Evolution. Agravana, Steel and Water type. Agravana were the scourge of ancient waters. These primal fish could bite through anything, even solid metal. Some ancient Basculin eventually split off from the family line and eventually changed into the modern day Kavana. They can now both evolve into Agravana using a primal stone, an evolution stone that can trigger ancient primordial evolutions. Lagua, Water and Grass type. Lagua are the baby form of Equan Lapras and live in the prehistoric enclave freshwater rivers and lakes. They seem to retain some features of their saltwater cousins. They have yet to grow a hard shell, so they try and keep close to their family in order to stay safe from predators. Based on Nessie and baby Pokemon. Equine Lapras, Water and Grass type. Equine Lapras are ancient freshwater variants of the modern-day ocean-faring Lapras we know today. They have developed a harmonious relationship with underwater flora, making them part grass type instead of ice. Like their saltwater cousins, they are gentle creatures and often help travelers cross the dangerous waters of the prehistoric enclave safely. Tortidal, Steel and Water type. Tortidal were the dominant water Pokemon of ancient times. These primal were much larger than its modern day counterpart and had shells made of steel. It's unknown why modern Wartortle eventually evolved into Blastoise over Tortidal, or why it shed its plumage, but it's thought that it could be due to the extinction of many threatening prehistoric Pokemon species, based on the Steel type and primal evolution. Quetzsparce, Dragon and Ghost type. Quetzsparce can be obtained using a primal stone on a Dunsparce, however it only seems to work on those with 3 segments. They were once worshipped as gods by an ancient civilization. In recent years, carvings of Quetzsparce have been found on the walls of once lost temples deep in the Equine jungle, based on the Quetzalcoatl and primal evolution. Megacarp, Water and Dark type. In the distant past, Magikarp was stronger than their horridly weak descendants that exist today and could naturally evolve into the giant Megacarp. They were terrifying creatures and could eat some prehistoric Pokemon whole. It's unknown why modern Magikarp eventually evolved into Gyarados over Megacarp, but scientists theorize that it was to become faster and more streamlined predators in open water, based on streamlined evolution and primal evolution. Luvdisc, Water type. In the Tropical Reefs, Luvdisc can shift evolve into a variety of different Pokemon and back depending on what coral they eat. Shift evolution is similar to Oricorio's form, but are regarded as their own species of Pokemon. Luvdiscs were originally taken from the tropical reefs when people fell in love with its heart-shaped body. However, without the coral they could no longer shift evolve and many forgot it ever could, based on shift evolution and playing card symbols. Spadisc, Water type. Spadisc are aggressive Pokemon, though they may not look it, and have the highest attack compared to any of its shift evolutions. They have an apprehensive nature and swim around the edge of the reefs. Diamondisc, Water type. Diamondisc are very fast Pokemon and have the highest speed compared to any of its other shift evolutions. They have a curious nature and swim in shoals just below the water's surface above the reefs. Clovisc, Water type. Clovisc are defensive Pokemon and have the highest defense compared to any of the other shift evolutions. They have a sweet nature but tend to keep close to the rocky reefs, defending Pokemon in trouble. Cthulhumer, Psychic and Water type. Cthulhumer are found all over the tropical reefs and are incredibly friendly. In fact, once they decide they like you, it's hard to be rid of them. These small Pokemon can hypnotize their prey with beautiful displays of color on their skin that can change on a whim. They are also well known for hypnotizing their own trainers for more cuddles and treats, based on the Cuttlefish and Rorschach. Octavia, Psychic and Water type. Octavia are much rarer than their male counterparts, and even if you are lucky enough to come across one, it's likely they will teleport away, making them rather difficult to catch. It's said they have incredibly powerful psychic abilities and were once greatly sought after, but due to their shy nature, it's very hard to come across these small Pokemon in the wild. Based on the stubby squid and the Pokemon teleporting away like Abra. Elecstatic, Normal and Electric type. These fluffballs live in the cliffside nest on the tropical islands. They are always incredibly excited to see new people and Pokemon and run around in circles building up static electricity. Elecstatic's feathers are so insulated they can fall from great heights without harming themselves. When on a beach, they like to run out as the waves pull back and zap stranded fish for a quick snack, based on the red-tailed tropic bird and rivals. Electropic, Electric and Flying type. Electropic live along the coast of the tropical islands. When fishing, they skim along the water's surface and dip their tails into the water, electrocuting their prey. They are sworn enemies of Kilowattrel and have been known to cause lightning storms when groups collide in search of food. They are incredibly fast and are known to rival Pidgeot in the air. There are 3 main islands in the DLC, each with very similar but different Pokemon. The first is Littus Island, which is a beach landscape. Each island has their own legendary Pokemon that defends it. Grimer, Beach form, Ground and Water type. Equine Grimers have distinct forms that change their typing, allowing them to live in a range of environments. Their beach form makes them ground water types when exposed to pure sand from Littus Island. They love to swim through the sand and often collect shells and coral on their backs, based on type forms and sand. Muck, Beach form, ground and water type. Be careful when sailing around Littus. If you run aground on a muck, it will attack. Hoothoot, Mystic form, Psychic and Fairy type. Equine Hoothoot have distinct forms that change their typing, allowing them to live in a range of environments. Their Mystic form makes them Psychic Fairy type when exposed to a shiny stone whilst on Littus Island. They are quite shy and tend to stay on the treetops away from others, based on type forms and crested owls. Noctowl, Mystic form, Psychic and Fairy type. It is said they can sense if you are a good or bad person at heart. Paris, Harmonious form, Bug and Grass type. Equine Paris found on Littus Island have a harmonious relationship with their parasitic mushrooms on their backs, which aids them both. Paris have adapted to living in a tropical climate and have become an integral part of the island ecosystem, based on type forms and harmonious relationships. Parasect, Harmonious form, Bug and Grass type. The mushroom no longer takes over the body of Parasect, and spores from their mushrooms have been found to heal other Pokemon rather than hurt them. Equine Meowth, normal type. Unlike their regional cousins, Equine Meowth walk on all fours and have the ability to adaptively evolve into different Pokemon depending on their environment. Their long whiskers give them perfect balance when climbing through the trees. They prefer to live in wild areas like the forests, rather than a modern urban world, based on type forms and the Jaguar. Jagaraw, electric and sound type. Meowth can only evolve into Jagaraw when on Littus Island. Their earth-shaking roars can be heard from miles away. When angry, Jagaraw will create an explosive shower of sparks, accompanied by a tremendous roar that can knock you out if you are too close. Equine Horsey, water and fairy type. Equine Horsey have developed differently in the warm tropical waters of Equus and have gained the fairy typing. They spend their days playing amongst the corals of Littus Island and have been seen riding waves into the shallow water, which can sometimes get them in trouble. Based on Eco-Positive and the yellow leafy sea dragon and the yellow seahorse. Equine Seadra, water and fairy type. Like their Cantonian cousins, the males will raise the young and will often be seen chasing Horsey around the coral, trying to keep them away from danger. Queendra, water and fairy type. Unlike Kingdra, Queendra can evolve from Seadra without the use of a dragon scale. These elegant Pokemon are generally solitary creatures and will perform beautiful choreographed dances when happy. Equine Krabby, ground and steel type. Equine Krabby have moved away from the oceans and now live fully on land. They are much larger than their ocean cousins and have thick metallic shells. They live on Littus Island and love to climb trees, crushing coconuts with their powerful claws. Each year they gather in huge numbers on the beaches to breed, based on the coconut crab and the blue crab. Emporo Crab, ground and steel type. Emporo Crab evolved from Equine Krabby during the breeding season when battling another Krabby of the same sex. Only males have antennae. These enormous crabs have a real temper problem and are known to attack anything shiny and metallic. Their powerful claws can slice through steel like paper. Chibolta, electric and psychic type. Chibolta, the legendary Pokemon of Littus Island, is said to be one of the fastest Pokemon in the world. It moves so fast it's almost impossible to see. Legend goes that a raging battle between two powerful Pokemon came to the islands. A Pokemon from each tried to defend the islands but was struck down. One of the legendaries, feeling sorry for them, brought them back to life, transformed, based on legendary beasts and the cheetah. The second main island of the region is Ignis Island, which is a volcanic landscape. Grimer, lava form, fire and rock type. Their lava form makes them fire rock type when exposed to volcanic ash from Ignis Island. They love to swim in lava rivers and can jump quite high out of lava, based on type forms and lava. Muck, lava form, fire and rock type. Stay clear of lava caves on Ignis Island volcano. Muck like to hide inside. Hoot Hoot, shadow form, dark and steel type. Their shadow form makes them dark steel type when exposed to volcanic ore whilst on Ignis Island. They have eerie calls that have been said to send travelers mad, based on type forms and the unspotted saw wet owls. Noctowl, shadow form, dark and steel type. They can fly silently and seem to attack from out of nowhere. Paras, primal form, bug and fighting type. Equine Paras found on Ignis Island have never been exposed to the parasitic mushrooms and look almost unchanged from their ancient bug forms. These Paras are larger than their cousins and far more aggressive despite their cute appearance and will box an enemy with their large claws, based on type forms and cicadas. Parasect, primal form, bug and fighting type. These Parasects are larger than their cousins and can bend steel with their large and powerful claws. Pansombra, dark and fire type. Pansombra live in the volcanic hills of Ignis Island. They are ferocious hunters and are known for their impressive endurance. They are solitary Pokemon and are fiercely territorial. Their colours allow them to blend into the background, so by the time you see one, it might be too late to run, based on type forms and the Black Panther. Equine Weedle, bug and dark type. Equine Weedle are found in the volcanic hills of Ignis Island. They live inside sulfur vents and are carnivorous, feeding on those who fall prey to the volcanic gases. They have thick, wiry fur that protects them against the sharp volcanic rocks and noxious fumes of its home, based on type forms and the Great Black Wasp. Equine Kakuna, bug and dark type. Equine Kakuna have protective shells that shield them from the dangerous chemicals found on the volcanic islands of Ignis. They are often found on the walls of volcanic caves. Don't let them fool you, however. They may seem immobile, but they have a hidden stinger. Waspike, bug and dark type. Waspike have sharp needle-like arms that it uses to attack its prey. Make sure you are not on the receiving end. Their lightweight bodies allow them to fly incredibly quickly and stopping just as fast. Listen out for the high-pitched whine of their wings. Equine Coughing, rock and fire type. Equine Coffee exclusively live on Ignis Island. Their bodies are made of a porous volcanic rock, and unlike their Kanto cousins, feed on wood and coal instead of toxic sludge. When they ingest volcanic water, it boils away any toxins and turns it to steam, eventually creating pools of clean drinking water for the Pokemon on Ignis, based on type forms and scoria rock. Equine Wheezing, rock and fire type. It's theorized that they were originally brought over to Kanto after people saw how they could clean toxins from the water. However, they didn't realize how badly polluted the water was and permanently corrupted them into their Kantonian forms. Equine Wheezing create baby coughing from their bodies which stay close to them until they are old enough to venture out on their own. Tortucano, fire and rock type. In the distant past, prehistoric Torkoal found themselves on Ignis Island with no natural predators, allowing them to evolve into giants that can spit lava from their shells. Tortucano burns coals inside its volcano-like shell, giving it tremendous bursts of energy that erupts from the top, creating enormous plumes of thick, ashy smoke. Though slow, their rocky shell gives them incredible defense, based on the Galapagos tortoise and primal evolution. Incinerage, fire and dark type. In the distant past, Incinerage hunted on ashy plains. Their furious fire made them the top predators of the region. Torracat can evolve into them via a primal stone. Through vicious training and selective breeding, Incinerage eventually changed into Incineroar, with the intention to turn them into a fighting type. It's said that these Pokemon didn't originally come from Alola, but shipped over from a distant region, based on a pure Tiger and primal evolution. Gravelanche, rock and steel type. In the distant past, Kantonian Graveler could evolve into Gravelanche, but humans decided to crossbreed them with variants from different regions, creating the modern-day Lion, and Gravelanche was lost to time. Using the Primal Stone, Graveler can unlock dormant genes and evolve into Gravelanche. Traces of their gold nuggets can still be seen in Alolan regional variants, based on gold nuggets and primal evolution. Oni Saber, fire and dark type. Oni Saber is the legendary Pokemon of Ignis Island. It's said that it can become so enraged that it can burst into a raging fire, based on legendary beasts and the Smilodon. The third main island in the region is Nivus Island, which is a snowy landscape. Grimer, avalanche form, ice and ground type. Equine Grimers have distinct forms that change their typing, allowing them to live in a range of environments. Their avalanche form makes them ice ground type when exposed to mountain peak ice from Nivus Island. Grimer love to slide down the slides of mountains and swim through the snow, based on type forms and avalanches. Muck, avalanche form, ice and ground type. These are the largest of the muck and can cause avalanches when snow surfing. Hoot Hoot, glacial form, ice and ghost type. Their glacial form makes them ice ghost type when exposed to mountain peak ice whilst on Nivus Island. They are generally unafraid of humans, but if startled can turn invisible, based on type forms and snowy owls. Noctowl, glacial form, ice and ghost type. They hunt in blizzards and can make themselves almost invisible within the snowfall. Paras, spectral form, bug and ghost type. Equine Paras found on Nivus Island have lost their parasitic mushrooms due to the cold, but in the process, turning them into a bug ghost type. These Paras have been nicknamed Dark Omens as they appear in graveyards and snowy peaks where people have died, based on type forms and the ghost type. Parasect, spectral form, bug and ghost type. It is said that the green mist coming from where the mushroom used to be is actually the soul of the insect driving an empty shell. Lynxiello, ice and psychic type. Lynxiello live in the snowy mountains of Nivus Island. They are proud creatures that are known to keep lost Pokemon safe during a snowstorm. They are solitary Pokemon and rarely come down from the icy peaks. Their colours allow them to blend into their background, so it's rare to see one out in the wild, based on type forms and the links. Equine Skiddo, normal and ice type. Equine Skiddo are extremely playful and are said to have a calming effect when around people. They have often been used as avalanche rescue Pokemon due to their advanced rock climbing. In the mountains of Nivus Island, the Skiddo family have adapted for life in the mountains, becoming normal ice types, and their horns and hooves eventually turn to ice, based on regional form evolutions and mountain goats. Equine Gogoat, normal and ice type. Equine Gogoat can also be ridden and have been used by the Equus region as a way to traverse the mountains for thousands of years. Their horns are made of a near unbreakable ice, allowing it to plow through any blockages you may face on the mountain. Clamberam, normal and ice type. In Equus, Equine Gogoat can evolve again into Clamberam. These powerful Pokemon are known for their incredible strength. Many people use them to get across snowy mountains. Ancient mythology originating from the northeast says that gods had Clamberam pull their chariots and are deeply respected by the people who live on Nivus Island. Equine Poochyena, ice type. Equine Poochyena are a common sight on the island of Nivus. They are often used as a form of transport for the youth of the island, pulling children along in sleds. Unlike their cousins, Equine Poochyena have a warm temperament and are known to be loyal and brave, based on the Siberian Husky and dog sledding. Equine Mightyena, Ice type. Equine Mightyena are used as a taxi service by pulling people around on the islands in large sleds, for a small fee of course. Their strength allows them to drag a tremendous amount of weight. They are brave and powerful ice Pokemon, known for their fearless nature and devoted loyalty, protecting anyone from harm if they can. Ilex Skink, Grass and Ice type. In the past, the Snivy family lived much further north. That was until temperatures began to drop. Many migrated south to Unova, whereas a few hung on and tried to adapt, evolving to Ilex Skink. However, eventually this evolution was lost to time. Using the Primal Stone, Servine can unlock dormant genes and evolve into Ilex Skink. Unlike their Unovan cousins, Ilex Skink never lost its legs. Based on oscillated skinks and primal evolution. Arctoberg, Ice and Water type. In the not so distant past, Bergmite could naturally evolve into Arctoberg that lived out in the deep ocean. They were titanic creatures with a mean temper and were known for sinking large ships that crossed their path. Using the Primal Stone, Bergmite can unlock dormant genes and can evolve into Arctoberg. Most of their bodies are submerged below the surface, so at a distance they look exactly like icebergs. Based on an iceberg and primal evolution. Dragolura, Dragon and Flying type. They once lived in the ocean, but for an unknown reason were driven closer to the shore. Scientists theorize that Dragonair adapted to evolve into the more Charizard-looking Dragonite as a form of defense mimicry in order to avoid a mysterious predator. Using the Primal Stone, Dragonair can unlock dormant genes and evolve into Dragolura when on Nivus Island. Based on Dragonite and primal evolution. Samuiyuki, Ice and Ghost type. Samuiyuki, the legendary Pokemon of Nivus Island, is said to be able to turn into snow and summon powerful blizzards. Based on legendary beasts and the Snow Leopard. If you haven't checked out the full Pokedex for the Equus region yet, check it out right here, or check out a different Fakemon region video from the playlist.